Y'all know what time it is. Back with another one. I told y'all that the channel just getting started now. I started it in August 2023. So the end of last year made it a full year, and we at the beginning of this year. So I say by about a 2 year mark, it should be rolling real good. So we're gonna just get started in it now. I'ma still mix it up with my style I'm doing. Show y'all my dogs, my pedigrees, and then we're gonna go over the history of these dogs. We're gonna get it popping. The realest channel on YouTube. If you know, you know. All right. Show and tell. Don't just talk. The only one showing y'all pedigrees. You know. We'll get into it, but we're gonna get to the point of this. A minute in, we straight to the point. Cotton's Bullet. That's my first dog we're gonna start off with on this history of the American Pit Bull Terriers. Now this dog right here, see everybody got their Red Boy Jocko, they whatever, they Bolio, they common dogs that, they into. But like I said, the more y'all get into these real dogs, the more you'll understand. People just like what they got access to. If they got access to it, then they gonna rip it. Because they want you to buy their dogs. And, why they gonna talk about other dogs when they ain't feeding any of it? You know what I mean? Just to see when you got battle cross dogs, when you got dogs with different lines conforming Voltron, you don't worry about what a pedigree say. You just worry about if the dog's working. You worry about, you see two working dogs, you know the difference between these working dogs and these working dogs. So you get out of that, pedigree colored stuff and just get into I just want real dogs when you start, getting in that lane. But yeah, this is my Red Boy Jocko, and this is a lot of people's Red Boy. This is the dog that I used to try to make pedigrees after and chase after and try to collect dogs with that in the blood, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, and try to say I got the most of that. This is my Red Boy Jocko stuff. The problem is everybody ain't got this blood. It's classic. So ain't a lot of people gonna be talking about it because they ain't feeding it and never fed nothing like it, or it's in the pedigree that they don't know nothing about, so they want to say, oh, because you pretty much ain't gonna. The only way you gonna get this blood is if you get it through me or Miss Poland's, pretty much these days. I mean, like I said, anybody talk about any different, I want to see some papers. You know what I'm saying? Let me see some paperwork and we'll go from there. But that's the only places you gonna get this blood from. And my stuff come from Miss Poland's a little bit too. She just don't got the bottom side that I got from the Dow Slinky. That's coming straight off the Stony stuff. Hers is a little different than mine, but she had a lot to do with the dog that I got, so that's why I give her credit for it. When I went over in the videos. But we're gonna talk about Cotton's Bullet on this one. And there's a lot of bullet dogs out there. A lot of dogs named Bullet. But this is the bullet of all bullets, And we'll just do a little story on Cotton's Bullet before we get started on. Like I said, this information and entertainment uses, only. It may be true, may not be true, just for entertainment and educational purposes, So, the story I got, I've heard a lot of them, but one of them I like, we'll talk about, back in them days when Cottons, when them boys was working them dogs, you know what I'm saying? Got to keep it vanilla too, because it's the internet. But one of these days, like I said, I'll make another channel, if I ever get out of dogs or whatever, and I won't have to be so vanilla because I ain't messing with the dogs no more. But yeah, he was on the train because back in the days, they put the dogs on the trains a lot. You know what I mean? So he had a show coming up, and Mr. Cotton put him on a train to go to wherever he had to go, to meet him for the show. And I got this story. If y'all wonder where I got it from, I got it from somebody with more credentials than you can probably think of, anybody you know. But I ain't going to put the people's information out here. But yeah, they been around. Let's just say. And they was like, when they put him on the train, he was on the train because I guess it was only one area on the train they was letting for animals. And he was on the train with a lot of other animals. I don't know what all the animals it was, but it was a lot of different animals. And I guess that kennel, that crate, whatever they put him in, it couldn't hold him. And they said he got loose. He got loose and killed everything. I'm talking about everything in that whole. They said they opened that thing and it was blood. They said he killed everything in there. He was the only thing alive in there. And they said Mr. Cotton had to pay for all them people's stuff. So like I said, there's a lot of stories about a lot of dogs, but that's one I hadn't really heard a lot from people. I got some other ones, but I've heard a lot of people tell me a lot about this blood, and a lot of people, got this blood in their dogs, and they know about it, and they try to keep it in there if they got it, because they know it's a shot in the arm for your dogs. You know what I'm saying? Some real bulldog and blood, and you can look at him. You can look at the way his bone structure is. But we're gonna break down. That's what this channel gonna be about. We're gonna break down the pedigrees on how and what's making the dog what he is. From what they got recorded. Now if y'all want to get up here and talk about, oh, it ain't bred that way and all this and that, well, if you don't got no receipts, don't get up here talking. You know what I'm saying? Because if you got receipts, get up here and put your receipts up here somehow, make you a channel and post your pictures or your proof or that you was there when they was being bred and all this stuff. Yeah, we'll listen. Other than that, we keeping it what we got the information off of. This ain't the rumor channel. Make you a rumor channel if you want to make a rumor channel. But let's break down what he bred like. All right. So we got Cotton's Bullet here. Got a few views. He ain't got the views like all them other people. You see what I'm saying? Because this is rare blood. You know what I'm saying? This ain't blood that everybody gonna get. Now, I'm gonna do video on all y'all favorite dogs too and stuff. I mean, I ain't leaving nothing out, but I'll be doing them forever, so it ain't no rush. Like I said, this channel just getting started. But we're gonna start with my favorite dog and the dog that I, first got my blood with and what I've seen be, a real bulldog and everything and That's my love. That's my favorite dog. That's my favorite blood, and it's just what it is. So that's the way we're going to start off on. So we got Cotton's Bullet. We can see, pretty official dog. Like I said, seen that many times. Come off Cotton's and Ruby. Reno and Ruby. Thai Boudreaux or however you want to, say to pronounce that. So that's the two dogs that come off of. It's got the Red Man in it in the second generations, and there you go with the Rascal, the Trahans Rascal. They got more Trahans Rascal in the third generation, and then the Neely's Rocky. Then it's got Neely's Rocky in the fourth generation too. Coming off the Corvino, the Klaus. See what I'm saying? The Brad Docks. All that classic stuff that them old bulldogs back in the days, them old guys had them real dogs. So, when we look at this pedigree, you say, well, what really made this Cotton Bullet dog? Right? The Red Man, that's a quarter of that in there, but what really made it is that Trahans Rascal. See, it's double bred coming from the top, coming from the bottom. And then the Rocky on the bottom side, well, on the top too, yeah. On the top side, fourth generation top right there is the Rocky coming down, and the Rocky coming down on the bottom side down the third generation and the fourth generation. So that's what the two dogs that really made this dog. Okay, so you say, what is these dogs? So this dog is basically line bred off them dogs, and it's kind of inbred because you can see Ruby in the second generation. Reno is Ruby's son. See? Now this is a breeding that I don't like doing that much, but I didn't say you weren't going to get some good ones because you can, but I feel like it messes up the percentages. And there's another way that you can see. They, dogs normally have, sometimes you can get one that have 3, sometimes you can get them to have 10 or 9, but dogs normally have a decent litter. When you look in the siblings, so you can click siblings, you ain't got no siblings. You see what I'm saying? So it might have been a litter where he just tried to capture the blood or something. Whatever it is, it obviously worked. But he, yeah, it ain't no more dogs but that one. That one came out good. So like I said, that's why I don't like that breeding. You putting the son back to the mama. He came out to mama. I don't really like it. Like I said, you might get you one good one or two good ones or whatever, but I like a little where they all gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have a lot of them and stuff, so just have what you're looking for. But either way, it made a good dog. But that's what I want y'all to see there. You see the ruby there on the top, the 25% right there. I told you this is the area where stuff goes right here. This is where it's making it happen. Quarter, 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 quarter. I got a how to read pedigree video if y'all want to watch it. You know what I mean? But some of y'all follow me. Y'all know what time it is, or y'all gonna get better by the time y'all keep listening to me. But yeah. So that's what you see. You see they basically took Greeno, his mama bred it back to his mama. All right. So then let's pay attention to Red Man right here because we had 11 minutes. We're gonna try to keep it at 15 minutes of video if I can here. But if I get to rambling, who cares, All right. So Red Man is that quarter of that. What is Red Man? Coming off the Robert stuff. And the Arnolds, there you go with the Klaus stuff again. The Tudor stuff. The Ferguson Centipede. You see, that's a Red Man is a Ferguson Centipede dog. Okay. So then you got the Corvino stuff. We ain't gonna go but so far back because I could go back forever, but we just gonna keep it short and sweet so you can see the gist of what made these dogs. So Red Man, that quarter of bullet, is coming off that heavy. It's an inbred off the Centipede stuff. Well, at least at the top anyway. Red Lady. Don't got no centipede in her. She come off the Shipleys and more Tudor stuff. Williams stuff, So she ain't got nothing. You see, there ain't nothing lit up on these pedigrees. But that don't mean nothing. These are still bulldogs. Alright. So the top, Red Man top is coming off the Centipede. And what is Centipede? There goes Centipede right there, champ. Centipede. Been seen a few times. That triplet stuff. That Fighting Peter stuff. I talked about Fighter Peter in one of my other videos where I was telling y'all that stuff right there. Start coming back when you start going through and when they started mixing them dogs with imported dogs and stuff. But that's another video. Maybe I'll talk about it one day, but we're gonna keep it simple. But yeah, old Centipede. That's how he breed. That Leitner stuff, the Kobe stuff. Leitner, Tudors, Owens, Harvey Red Devil, Centipede. So that's what Red Man, he coming out that Centipede stuff. So that's just, that's just a quarter of Cotton's bullet. All right. So now let's get to the gist of what's really making him, you can say, this Trahans Rascal right here. Some of my favorite stuff too. I love this Trahans Rascal stuff. And we'll talk about what he is, real quick, fast if we can, I mean, I might go over 15 minutes, but it's all good. This information. If you don't like information, go on to the other stuff that just talking about nonsense. This is the information channel. All right. But my true fans, my true people that's into this stuff, they're going to keep watching to the end. They done sent me messages and stuff, so I respect y'all. Hey, keep supporting. All right, so the Trahans Rascal. Herbert's Bounce and Corvino's Makeup. Ain't nothing lit up on this dog. Bulldog. Tudors. Shipley stuff. Corvino. But Rascal. Classic stuff. And this is what's special about Rascal. See, you see the Rascal, but Herbert's Bounce is Rascal's daddy. All right. There go Herbert's Bounce. Shipley stuff. Tudors. See, them old names ain't nothing lit up. Bulldog, Corvino, Chicago Dolly. But when you look at his offspring, see, he Dabo daddy. You see what I'm saying? So when you see that rascal, it's the same type blood as the Dabo stuff. You see? So that's when you see them pedigrees and you see that rascal and then you see the Dabo, you say, oh, it's going back to that same Hubert's Bounce stuff. You see, that's how you know about these dogs and how you can breed them and how you see that stuff clicking. You creating that old stuff again, if you know what you're doing. It's the art to breed. That's why everybody can't breed good dogs. Breeding is two things. Luck, because you ran into somebody that's going to teach you and show you and give you good dogs, or you just got lucky and got the good dogs and you were smart enough to keep them because you knew and you doing your research and you found out that you had real working dogs and you better keep this stuff. So that's how it goes. You can't you can't just buy cheap dogs from everywhere and think you're going to just breed two dogs and you're going to have some of the best dogs. It don't work like that. It can work like that if you get lucky, but, normally, you got to pay for what you get. And just how it go. These days, I got these dogs 20 years ago. I've been breeding dogs for 20 plus years. This old stuff. You can't, when I try to find dogs now, I can't find no dogs like these no more. I'm always disappointed every time I buy a dog. That's why I don't buy them no more. I be breeding my own stuff. That's the way. If y'all didn't know how you make the best dogs, you find the good ones, you keep them, and you breed them, and you make the good dogs, and you make them. That's how you make the good dogs. Because once you find once you get it going where the dogs can produce, every time you breeding them together, you producing dogs, the whole litter good. Then you got more dogs than you can handle now. Unless you sell them to people. If you ain't selling them, if you working doing them and going through them and taking them to do stuff, then you got dogs forever. And you're going to be just doing it and doing it and doing it. Well, how LL say? You got to get the dogs first. That's the first thing. So you got the Hubert's Bounce right there. So that's what, that's what his daddy is. That's what Rascal Daddy is, you see? And then Corvino make up the mama. Okay. So, in makeup, she come off the some Corvino stuff too, and some unknown stuff there. Menifees, But just, we ain't gonna know nothing about these dogs. It's classic stuff, but I'm gonna show y'all this stuff because, I ain't talking about the same stuff everybody else talking about. We're gonna talk about some history. If there's history, we're gonna talk about history. So yeah, Grand Champion Trahans Rascal, one of the best dogs you can have in your pedigree. And then last but not least, we're gonna go over Rocky, Champ Neely's Rocky, because we had 18 minutes now. And Rocky was a good dog too. Come off the Brad Doc Sailor and the Corvino Jet. Corvino Victory Bob. And the Brand Doc stuff. The Grand Champion Brand Doc. Unknown stuff here. Yeah. So Rocky and Rascal is what's heavy in bullet. That's what made him. Per these documentation. We got Victory Bob right here. Brad Doc's son. Come off that Grand Champ Clark's Tramp and Rage Krager. You see, that's double bred off the Brad Doc too. Victory Bob. Let's see what this is here. Old Kobe dog. Grand Champ Clark's Tramp. Kobe Blue. Classic stuff. UKC. Okay? Know y'all history. All white dog. Or mostly white or fineish or whatever. Classic blood. Let's give Corvino's Brad Doc some love. Classic stuff, old Brenda dog. Was the real thing. Coming off the Kobe stuff. The Webster's Joker. So these dogs had different names and AKA this and see, dogs had different names. See what this Joker is. Look at old Joker. Webster's Joker. Kobe dog. Got old Pincher in there. I can go on and on and on. But we're going to try to keep it short and sweet because y'all attention span, like I said, most people ain't into nothing that they ain't got no chance of feeding unless they spend some money and buy it. So, they're going to go to other stuff that's into their blood and this stuff like that. They ain't really trying to be into the history unless they can feed some of it. But, people that's into history, just for y'all. That's what I'm doing it for, whether it's 1 or 1,000, Yeah, we might go over Pincher one day, but I ain't gonna be clicking and clicking. We at 20-something minutes. I can go forever. So yeah, y'all look at these bone structure of these dogs. Y'all look at these markings on these dogs. Red dot. All right. So yeah. That's the stuff that make up Cotton's Bullet. So when you hear about Cotton's Bullet all the time, people always Cotton Bullet, Cotton Bullet, Cotton Bullet, without showing y'all any receipts. But anyway, they can call out what they want to call out. If y'all get it, y'all get it. This channel out here for the real, so y'all need to do y'all research. If they show you it in the papers and stuff like that, and you can know how to read y'all pedigrees, you tell them if you think it's bullet or not, or what you should call it. But ain't nobody gonna add his blood like that anyway, so you ain't gonna have to worry about it. But if you do run across it, because you will, because people will scream it out, just do your research. But yeah, that's what he made out of. So the rain credit for that dog, Red Man get a little of his credit, 25%, but mostly it's gonna go to that Trey Hands Rascal, because that's the closest right there, the second and the third generation. And then you gotta give that Rocky that love. Champion Rocky, he in the 4th generation and 3rd generation double bred. That's what they line bred off that stuff. That Rascal and that Rocky that made that super dog. But yeah. Old Cotton's Bullet, one of my favorite. That's what we started off with. And yeah, my first video to go over on my history channel, starting it with my favorite. And y'all stay tuned for the next one. We'll be coming with another one soon. Peace.